Hello everyone, and welcome to the Ari Writer channel. My name is Ari, and today I'd like to talk about something that I think is really important, and I think that some people diminish its importance and its value, not only on our lives, but I think on the lives of other people around us. And basically, this is proofreading. And a little acronym that I've come up with the title of this video, I think you guys are going to enjoy it, is Proofreading Posts Prompts Prosperity. And so it's a little bit of a tongue twister. And when I refer to posts, I'm talking about comments on videos, I'm talking about text messages between people, emails, essays, almost anything that you're writing. Something that's being posted is something that you're sending and allowing someone else or everyone publicly to view. And basically when you proofread your posts, you prompt prosperity. And that means that basically if you want to be prosperous, which is another term for saying what you mean and meaning what you say, being successful, being happy. It's basically an umbrella term that basically means, are you trying to communicate effectively and get your message across to someone? Therefore, if you want to be prosperous and succeed and make sure that people understand you and that you understand other people, then basically proofreading is the key. So what does it mean to proofread? There's many ways to do it, and for me, I have a few different methods. You can start writing, and then when you're done, look over everything that you wrote. What I like to do is I like to proofread as I write. So I'll write maybe one sentence, and as I'm writing it, I'll be glancing at it. I tend to type relatively fast, but I don't really type correctly. I actually type with these three fingers and my thumb. I don't really type with the pinky finger too much. And I don't really type with the fourth one too much either sometimes, but it is there sometimes to help. And so basically, as I'm typing, I'll look at what I wrote and I'll make sure that not only did I not spell something incorrectly, which is very hard to do because we have things like autocomplete and autocorrect on our phones and on our computers, but more importantly, to make sure that the context of what I'm saying makes sense. Now, you don't have to be an amazing writer to do this. It's actually really easy to proofread. All you really have to do is write and then look at what you wrote. I know that a lot of people don't want to spend that kind of time, and I know that a lot of people are trying to just get the message across, and they're going to assume that the other person is going to make assumptions about what they wrote and just get it. As long as the essence is there, spelling doesn't matter, punctuation doesn't matter, and grammar doesn't matter. And I mean, what's the point? Just get it out there. Some people try to send these messages similarly to how they speak in real life. And so that's actually a good method to be more personable. Sometimes when I write, I do write with some colloquialisms. What I do in that case is sometimes I'll put quotes around something that is generalizing something. So if I write a sentence like, I was really angry at the situation, I could interpret anger in so many different ways, and that is one way to be a bit general while trying to get your message across and seeing how the other person interprets it, because there's many different forms of anger and sometimes the context explains it. More importantly, if you do want to write successfully, what I suggest is that basically write a sentence, proofread it. The proofreading won't take too long. Basically, you'll finish writing your sentence in about maybe 10-15 seconds at the most, depending on your texting speed or typing speed, and then all you have to do is just glance over it and make sure that what you were trying to convey is being conveyed. And I think something that's really important about this is thinking about the other person and thinking about whether or not they have to take the time to now interpret what you're saying, especially if you're vague or if you misspell something. I've seen people share their usernames when we're trying to connect on certain programs and maybe play some games online together, and they'll actually spell their username incorrectly. And I would try to add it, and I would spend time trying to add that incorrect username. I would see it doesn't exist, so then I'd have to type to that person or text them and say, hey, I don't really see your username there. Are you sure you spelled it right? And then they'd tell me, oh no, actually it's this spelling. In order to avoid all of the extra effort that I had to put in because of their mistake, all they needed to do was proofread what they wrote before they sent it. This is an analogy for life as well, because proofreading is nice and it is considerate, but if we think about it, we can also think about what we say before we say it. Now, obviously, this doesn't always apply. We do need to have certain kinds of responses relatively quickly when we're having normal conversations with people. If we sit there and we're just silent for 5 and 10 seconds, and the other person just like asked us a question, then the other person may think that something is wrong and they'll say, are you okay? You're just sitting there doing nothing. And so there's so many ways to communicate that maybe you're thinking about the right answer. And when I say the right answer, I mean your answer, your truth, whatever you're trying to really convey. And so one way to do it is, let's say someone asks you a complex question. What does happiness mean to you, for example? Instead of sitting there in silence or impulsively saying, I don't know, you can say, that's an interesting question. I actually want to think about that one because I haven't really considered it in depth. Maybe you're the first person that's asked me that very complex question, for example. And so being able to communicate that and telling other people, hey, I'm thinking, I'd like to give you a really well thought answer that reflects my values and reflects my wisdom. And I think that's really important. And that's, I think, goes hand in hand with proofreading because it's the same concept except we're not writing, we're speaking. And so really taking that time to think about what you want to say and also considering these questions. I've met so many people in my life that I would ask them, what do you think about this topic? Or have you ever learned about something like the dimensions? Or do you even know what Maslow's hierarchy of needs is? Of course, I've done videos on them. And most of them have said no. They've never really bothered to delve into them. And I think that that's a mixture of a lack of exposure and I think also a lack of curiosity. And I think that what tends to happen to a lot of people is when we're very young, I think that we have innate curiosity and it's very natural. And I think that as we get older, we may experience some traumatic events that seem to de-incentivize us from being curious. We could have an adult or even a friend or even a bully at school that basically was disrespectful to us because we asked a certain question. And so then we intrinsically learn to stop asking these questions and to start delving into the why of the matter. And so you can see that I'm going on a slight tangent here, but all of this is connected to proofreading and really thinking about what are we saying, why are we saying it, and are we allowing the other person to not work so hard to interpret what we're saying? Are we being considerate and allowing the other person to not have to utilize so much effort into interpreting what we are saying? So just wanted to talk about proofreading and how proofreading prompts prosperity. And so I just wanted to bring that out because I've seen a lot of people just basically writing comments, not really utilizing things like commas and spelling things correctly, putting the wrong form of there, there's there, and there. There's a lot of different ways of saying the same word because it sounds the same, but then people just write the wrong spelling and it causes us a few seconds, if not even minutes, of extra anguish to try and interpret what they meant to say. And so if we say what we mean and write what we mean and mean what we write, I think it's really effective, and proofreading, I think, is the first step to just getting that out and making it effective and getting it across and allowing others to understand each other. And I think that a lot of conflicts in our world and in life stem from a lack of communication. So hopefully we'll communicate better and have less conflicts. And that's basically it for this one. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day or evening, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.